Chapter 17. The Dorm. We walk back up the hill from the grove where Corporal Dart's France Victory Medal is now keeping company with Possum's hidden treasures. I am feeling a little better. Better than at any time since Pop told me he was leaving me here. True, my arm is aching like it got kicked by a mule, but I'm not going to be isolated here at this Indian school, marooned on a desert island like Robinson Crusoe. Or maybe sort of like Robinson Crusoe with my new friend Possum as my man Friday. Then again, this is far from a desert island. How many boys did Pop and me see marching on that field? 400 or more? And there were just as many girls in the stands. Counting teachers and all, there's more than 1,000. 1,000! I've never before been around so many people. Every day I am going to be surrounded by folks I don't know. And now that knot's back in my stomach. We've reached the back of Building 4. I start to walk around toward the big front steps. Possum stops me. Good time to show you this. No one else being around. He jerks his chin toward a huge vine growing up the side of the building, pretty much covering the whole back. It's been growing there for years. Some of its branches are as big around as tree limbs. It's fastened itself firm, tendrils digging in like fingers into the stone and wood. It's like a part of the building itself, reaching all the way up just short of the roof. Virginia Creeper, Possum says. Our private stairway. Nice, isn't it? He grasps a thick branch of the vine and starts to climb. I'm expected to follow, which I do. We scale that vine until we reach a window it encircles. Old, dried scars on the vine show where it's been cut back to keep it from covering the opening. Possum's already opened the window and slid inside. I peer in to see what I am about to enter. It's a long, low-ceilinged space with cots off to either side. The narrow aisle between them leads to a door at the far end of the room. 30 narrow cots are crammed in here, 15 to each side. All but one of them made up, sheets and blankets tucked so tight a dropped penny would bounce. Each bed has a small metal trunk at its foot. But that's not all I'm seeing. I've been here before in my vision as Pop told the story about Charlie Cornsilk. A chill runs down my back as I stare into this all-too-familiar room. Possum's already sitting on one of the cots 2 beds down from the window. Come on in, he says, waving at me. Welcome to our home, sweet home. He looks down the aisle. One there in the middle, he says, indicating the one unmade cot. That'll be yours. I slide over the sill. The room's cramped, small for the number of people sleeping here every night. Last time I saw it, though, in that vision or daydream, there were even more cots. Middle of the room, Possum grins. That's where the new boys get to sleep. Smells get the worst there in the night. Especially when they serve beans for dinner, which is every other night. He pats his cot, not like mine, near to the window. I walk over to the narrow cot, mine tonight, and night after that. The room seems even smaller. Though I've tried not to show it on my face, Possum might have noticed I'm feeling anxious. He doesn't know the half of it. I reach up to the rafter that slopes down low over the bed. With my right index finger, I trace the faint letters carved into the wood. C.C. Just like in my dream. Possum walks over to sit down on my cot. He bounces up and down on it a few times, the springs creaking under his weight. Not bad, he says. Some are so worn out you might as well be in a hammock. I'd rather be in a hammock, or on the wooden floor of a boxcar. Anywhere but here as long as I was with Pop. I picture the two of us together. We're walking down a country road, wind in our faces, birds singing from the trees. You missing that home you lost, Jaybird? I shake my head. No, Possum says. He looks a little confused at my answer. Surely he expected I was feeling homesick. He's been so kind so far that he deserves a better answer. I'm missing the road. The road? Possum says. He looks really confused now. A few words aren't going to do it this time. I take a breath while he waits. Knights of the road, I say. That is what Pop and me were. A light seems to come on in Possum's eyes. "Hobos?" he said. "You guys were hobos?" I nod. "How long?" "1 year," I say. "Holy Jeezum," Possum says. "Jumping freight trains?" I nod again. "Sleeping out under the stars?" Another nod. "Oh man, I bet you got some stories." "We do," I say. "Tell me some, but not now." He stands up, looks over at the window. "They may run our lives in the day here, but not after dark." I'm not sure what he means by that. I don't have time to ask. I've just noticed, as he has, the sounds of feet coming up the stairs outside the door. I think of bolting for the window, climbing down the vine and running. Possum grabs my arm. "Hold on," he says. "No heading for the hills. They just catch you and drag you back." "In here." The door is opened by the person who just spoke. Superintendent Morrell. My father's right behind him. My father looks straight at me, taking in my shorn dome. A sad look comes over his face, but he doesn't say anything. The superintendent, though, is anything but silent. "Excellent," he says. "You already appear much more civilized, young man. A lad of this century and not the benighted long-haired past. Next we shall rid you of those rags, get you into proper clothes." His gaze turns to Possum. "Showing our new recruit his quarters?" "Yes, sir," Possum replies, straightening up to attention. "Excellent, indeed." He turns to Pop. "As you can see, with the addition of our new house since you were here, we no longer crowd so many into each room. Further, each cadet," he taps one of the metal footlockers with his toe, "has a place for his personal items." Morrell looks down his long nose at me. "I assume you are impressed with our facilities, especially the addition of the washrooms down the hall. No longer must our lads traipse outdoors to use the outhouse as they did during your father's tenure with us." Morrell doesn't notice Possum squeezing his nose and looking up at the ceiling at the mention of those indoor toilets. Pop does, though. A little smile creases his mouth. "Now then," the superintendent says, gesturing broadly. "Back downstairs. Your father needs to take his leave since he has, I believe, a ticket for this afternoon's train. One of our agricultural science teachers is driving into town and can drop him at the depot. You can say your farewells before Mr. Aird escorts you over to obtain your uniform." We follow Morrell down the stairs, waving his hands as he goes on about something or other all the way. But I am not hearing a word. All I can hear is a voice in my head. Pop is leaving me. Pop is leaving me. At the bottom of the stairs, Morrell stops talking for a moment. He takes my father's hand and looks into his face. "You have done well by yourself and our nation with your service," the superintendent says. "Leaving your lad in our care is a wise decision. We shall make a gentleman farmer out of him, a credit to his race." Pop nods and lets out a breath. "I just hope," my father says, "my boy'll do well." "Indeed, indeed," Morrell says, smiling benevolently. "Adieu, then." He strides away, leaving us standing there. Possum walks over to study the bark of one of the smaller trees 50 feet away. I'm alone with Pop. For the first time in my life, I feel awkward around my father. I do not know what to say or do. Two of us stand side by side, looking out over the broad lawn that stretches in front of the big, imposing buildings of the school. "You going to be okay, Cal?" Pop asks, not turning my way. No, I think. I'm not. But I know what Pop wants to hear, needs to hear. Since he explained his plan, he's been happier. Going to Washington and getting his bonus money can get us back a farm again. There's only one answer I can give him. "Yes," I say. I reach into my pocket, pull out Mom's comb, hand it to him. "I'll take good care of this, son," Pop says as he places it in his pocket, his voice a little hoarse. "I know," I say. Then I bite my lip and look down at the ground. Pop turns to hug me. Hug me one last time.